Alright, I'm going to make an adjustment to the feet as I noticed they look a little small, so I'm actually going to just control shift those feet and then mask them off. And then that way I can make those adjustments. So I'm going to actually just reset that. And I'm going to actually place that pivot right down in the middle. So I just hit the home button and that actually places it at home. So I'm also going to stay in local symmetry and then I'm going to actually not local symmetry, I want to, there we go. Go to unmask mesh center, which is this button right here. And that way I can make those adjustments. And so I'm going to just local symmetry and scale and the X just a little bit. And then also I'm going to just do a little bit of rotation and move that foot out. And that looks a little better, I think. Actually, I still want to move them. So mesh center, and then I'm going to move in X. So move in X. There we go, it looks better. Go back to draw mode. It looks a little better. Alright, now when you, another trick to move between subtools, if you hold down the Alt key and click on the subtool, it will actually move you to that next, it'll move you to the subtool that you want. So if you hold down Alt and I was to click on the body, I would go to the body, and you can tell because it's highlighted, and also it becomes the visible subtool. And so I'm going to go back to the arm subtool by just hitting the Alt key and hitting that. So I'm going to actually create the hands now. So for the hands, I'm actually going to use a sphere, but then I will use the move tool to basically block that into shape. So I'll be using the quad sphere 2 and then placing more towards the end, and then I'll actually just kind of slim that down a little bit. Actually, that's not what I wanted. So I'll basically put them like so, and then I'm going to get back to the gizmo and scale in Y. And that gives us kind of almost a flat pancake look. So I'm going to push that up into the arm, and then from here I will make those adjustments with the move tool. So I'm going to select the move tool and go back to making those adjustments. So notice that this hand is pretty skinny in right here, but then once we break out from the thumb, and then also it's kind of the hand is kind of square how I currently have it drawn, and so just making little adjustments to these, and these will be adjusted as well at the all is said and done. So I'm just kind of squaring these up just a little bit. They do look a little big. Well, not too bad, a little bit. I will actually scale them just a touch by just actually holding the yellow and just doing an overall scale to them. And then go back to draw mode. Actually, I'm going to push the bottom part of the palm up a little bit, push it in. So just basically kind of flattening it off right now. And the top of the hand, just kind of softening that a little more. So basically just like the square mitt of the hand. And so from that point, we're going to actually go to the IMM brush and select an appendage. And then I'll probably build the thumb out first. And so with that thumb, I'm going to basically pull that out. And with that currently like that, I like it to go the other way. So I'm actually going to rotate that out and then rotate and then push that back that way. So, and then go back to draw mode. And actually, I'm just going to smooth out this just a little bit. And for this one, I want to actually put that curve into the thumb. So I'm going to grab that move brush and just kind of push that thumb out like so, and then kind of pull, also pull right here to bring that thumb, and also kind of, I need to make my brush a little smaller just to kind of bring that thumb part out, and then this will be bringing that thumb part out like so. And this basically with the thumb just kind of bringing that into the pad of the hand a little more. So this is where the pad of the thumb, I use this to actually make the pad for the hand here. And that looks like it works for now. Thumbs look good. So then for the finger, the fingers, actually that thumb seems a little big, so I will go and scale those. So I'm going to actually keep it in local symmetry and just scale down just a touch, and then also just kind of move in Z. So move that in Z, and then go back to draw mode. And then from this point, I'm going to grab the appendage tool again, IMM brush, appendage, and go to the main finger. I'm just kind of straightening that out a little bit. I'm going to undo that and redo it. And scale down just a touch. And then I'm going to go to my gizmo and just add that finger. But I'm also going to scale it up a little bit. And then also I'm going to inflate towards the end of that finger. Just inflate that, and then also go to move and move that finger more into kind of what I'm looking for. So just pull that in. It's looking like he's got some pretty long fingers. Kind of what I'm looking for. So I'm just putting a little bend to that finger, pulling that one down. Just kind of putting that bend into that. And actually, I will scale that down just a touch. So back to the gizmo, and just scale down in Z by just a little bit. This next part, we're gonna just copy this finger subtool that this current mesh that we have with the finger. And to do so, we're going to still use our gizmo, but if we hold down the control button and actually go and grab, say, from the X, which is our red, we're going to push and just push that in, but I'm holding down the control button. that gives us a new finger. Right, with that finger, we're actually going to keep it as part of the same poly group as the other fingers currently. I'm just going to actually zoom up in just a little bit and rotate that finger, and then also rotate in the Z and Y. And then I'm also going to, I'm going to actually scale that in Z as well, just make that middle finger a little longer. And I will make an adjustment with that in the Y, and also just a little bit of rotation in X. And then go back to the Move tool and just kind of push that, actually put that finger kind of where I want it. Remember, this is still early block-in stage, so we can kind of be messy with this. Doesn't need to be perfect. You can always make adjustments. We will probably be making adjustments to these fingers we'll as we go along. So with that finger still selected, I'm going to go back to the gizmo and actually hold down Control, and in the X, actually going to copy again, and then this one I'm actually going to scale down in Z and scale down in X, just to kind of a little bit more smaller pinky, and a little bit more in X, scale back up, and then we'll move that pinky kind of into place. And those hands, you can see those hands, and actually I'm going to move that and then kind of give that pinky just a little bit of a curve to it. Alright. So currently all of our fingers all have the same poly group, and I want them to be different. So with that in mind, what we want to do currently is just go to auto groups. And so in the poly groups, you can just hit this auto groups by topology. So once you hit that auto groups, it places everything into its own grouping, which currently we want these to we want the left side to match with the right side. So with that in mind, we can actually just go to Shane's tool, his Shane's menu, 3D Character Workshop menu, and go to Mirror and Weld. And that actually makes our poly groups the same from right to left. So it's currently how we have that now. So when we go and actually select, say we go and select the pointer finger, and we will have the same pointer, we'll still have symmetry between those fingers. So we select that and come back out here. We can work just on the pointer finger again. So right here, what I want to do is just kind of make some light adjustments with the Move tool. So I'm going to bring that tool down and just kind of push that finger just so it kind of blends a little bit easier into the pad of the hand. So I'm kind of smoothing as well, holding down Shift and just kind of pushing that finger in to the palm a little bit. There we go. going to smooth that out. There you go. It's not looking too bad. So for the middle, actually I'm going to do the same to the middle finger. So I'm going to select that middle finger, mask it, bring everything back, and control click. Actually, so unmask everything, select that, mask that middle finger, and control shift to bring everything back, and then control click, and we're back to just having the middle finger masked, which is what we're looking for. So we can make those adjustments to bring that finger into the pad of the hand, well, the top of the hand, not the basically the pad. The pad is what I basically think of when I'm looking at the pad of the hand here. So with that in mind, just bringing that finger back into the hand a little bit. Also, just kind of moving those away from each other a little bit more, so they're not as in the way with each other. So once we combine all these, it's gonna want to mesh right in together, which is not what we want. We want to still be able to access those fingers. So when we do, I'm just going to bring that up a little bit more so I can move this into place. So I'm kind of, as I'm looking, try to look at it from as many angles as possible. And just smooth down just a little bit, and then move back into place. You can spend a lot of time on hands just because they're very intricate. They're part of the storytelling. If you're an animator and want to be a storyteller, your hands are everything. They tell the story just as much as the face does. And so we try to keep that in mind, and so I'm going to unmask, and then I'm going to control shift select the thumb, and I'm going to mask that thumb off, and then do the same thing that we've been doing. Just kind of just work on this thumb just a little bit. So I'm just kind of moving. My brush is a little too big, so I'm just going to bump that down. Just actually putting a little bit of curve to that. Curve that thumb, push this part up. There we go. To have that be that thumb, you want to be a part of the hand. So with that in mind, those arms might look a little long. We may make some adjustment to those, but with them currently, we're gonna, so if I were to rotate from here, which I'll probably do just to take a look and see what actually, so if I move my gizmo, and just when you click on an object, you can actually the gizmo will move close and try and fit the normal of the face that it's currently. So if I click this right up here, so if I click here, should place it right at the top. There we go. And if you hold down Alt, you can actually just move that where you want it. And I'm actually going to not reset. I want to actually don't want to do that. I just want to rotate so we're like so. So with that, actually just going to rotate a little more. Then that way, so when I do rotate down, you can actually see where, our thumbs are still currently masked off. So we just unmask that. And then that way, we can actually rotate everything, and we can see kind of how where those hands are sitting And it does look a little long. So what we can do, yeah, those hands look super long. So what we want to do with that is actually scale, probably from both, probably more so in the forearm, but we'll probably scale in both both in the upper arm and the forearm. So to do so, actually I'm going to go back to where we're at here, and then I'm going to go back to draw mode, and then I'm going to just select this guy right here, and just make sure that we mask that off. And then from here, I'm actually going to scale, and I'm going to move that gizmo to the top of that arm and kind of place the gizmo into the center of where we're going to scale from and point the direction that we're going to scale. So we're going to scale in Y here. And so if I pull up, you can see it's coming up with us. All right, that's good. That's what we want. And then from this one, I'm actually going to grab the forearm and do the same thing. And so for that one, I'm actually going to just move that gizmo and move it up and place it up more up here. And I'm actually going to move up in the X just so I can get it basically up into the arm where we originally had it. Might have to make a little adjustment to the elbow, just placing it where we want. And then from this point, I'm actually going to scale down in the X. So those arms look a little bit shorter, which is kind of what I was looking for. I'm going to keep the hands the same size. So I kind of like them how big they are in the design. I made them that way just so they're a little bit more expressive. Bigger hands kind of show that way, and hands, there's so many different designs with hands, and so this is the design that I'm rolling with on these hands. So for this one, I'm going to unmask and then mask all of the hand, and then just do a control to actually get to just this, and then rotate that into place, kind of where those hands are. And then I'm going to actually just move that hand right back up. So when you'll notice, like when we block stuff out, and with the poly groups, you can get to stuff pretty fast and make adjustments really fast as well. So that hand has a rotation that I'm not really liking right there, so I'm just kind of making that adjustment. So, and unmasking, and then I'm going to go back to draw mode, just kind of take a look, and that looks a little bit better overall, like proportion-wise. Looks like his hands will probably sit about middle of the leg, well, top of the leg, about right here. If I was going to rotate this down, visualize the arc, I'm actually going to be probably about right here with my hands, which is where I want them to be. And so that's looking pretty good. So from this point, if we just turn off our poly frame and take a look at the mesh that the body that we've built so far as a block in, it looks pretty good for what I'm looking for currently. And so I'll move that just kind of in place just to kind of look and see what, and it's looking pretty good. I do see that his head, it looks a little small to me, so I may just bump his head up overall as once we combine everything. I'll probably make some of those adjustments to his head. So with that in mind, we'll work on that. Yeah, his head definitely feels a little small. So, all right, moving forward from there.